No, we were talking about a little bit about James Wiseman and Taj Gibson, the coaching him up. Obviously, he's a free agent this summer.
Yep.
So my question to you is, would you bring James Wiseman back on his qualifying offer?
The qualifying offer is what you said, 15 million.
15.8, so almost 16.
I would say yes, and here's why. Like we were talking about, the improvements definitely there. He's 22. You have a lot of money, and there's not a lot of meaningful free agents out there. It depends on the trade market. You can always rescind the qualifying offer if like something comes up that makes sense. But if there's really no better option or like a similar option, I say yes. I'd like, obviously if you are going to bring it back, ideally it'd be for a longer term, lower money deal. But I don't mind. I mean, the Pistons have 60 million coming up, give or take? Couldn't they get to 80?
I think it's down to 55 because of the buyouts. Because Shake was actually still guaranteed for next season, and we bought him out. So we're going to be paying him like a couple mil for the next 2 years. But I think it's like a 55, 56 million, like around that price point.
Okay. I mean, nonetheless, I think it's worth extending that. And obviously you'd like to upgrade that, but you can always rescind that. So, but as of now, I don't see any issue with it, and aiming to bring it back on a longer term, maybe like a 2-year, $17 million deal. That's probably too high, but just spitballing here.
I know. It's like, you kind of look at the qualifying offer and it's like 16 million, like close to that. To your point, I would probably like to lock him down if you do want to bring him back.
Right.
At the end of the day, I know that he's a fan favorite of Troy Weaver. And I know Troy Weaver is very high on him.
If he's going to be here.
That is true. I haven't really seen him at Pistons games as of late.
Since the incident.
Yeah, since the incident.
Yeah.
It seems like, just kind of like going off of recent contracts with this organization, they really like the 3-year deals. 3-year, 30 million, like the old Marvin Bagley, like
right.
3 for 36.
Right. Absolutely not in my head.
Yeah. I think there's a price point for Wiseman, but I think when you start getting into the the $15 million range, even though it would only be for a year for the qualifying, I think the organization would probably want to get him lower.
For sure. Yeah. No, you wouldn't keep it. I mean, if he accepts the qualifying offer and you don't rescind it because there's nothing better, all good. It's 1 year, whatever. I think that he would have a no trade clause at that point, right?
I don't even know. Spot Track, it's like, that's just what I got. I don't know if it's updated.
Yeah.
But I think a price point for him, like the organization would probably like around 6 to maybe 9 million per year would probably be a little bit more friendlier.
For sure, yeah.
And I think from a standpoint of, there hasn't been a whole lot of games for, Wiseman's agent to point to saying like, hey, my client deserves, 15 million a year. Be like, he hasn't really played a lot. Like, this is kind of like a prove it deal. Like, prove to us that, you deserve to be here more than, next 3 years. Again, only 22 years old. I think there's value in keeping him, but I could understand if the Pistons decide, hey, like, we traded for you, we traded Sadiq Bey for you, it just hasn't worked out these last 2 years.
Yeah.
We got rid of Mike Muscala to give you more playing time. We just don't feel that you're ready yet. Good luck. I don't know. I think there's value in keeping him, but I also can understand from an other fan's perspective of saying like, hey, let's go get a big man in free agency instead.
Right. Which is fair. I mean, also it's like, I don't necessarily trust this front office just in general, but especially to negotiate contracts with their own free agents. And that's like you were saying, like the Bagley deal. No one was bidding. They were bidding against nobody in that situation. They overpaid it. If they paid Bagley like $3 million less a year, I think he'd be seen as a pretty good deal. And like, I know 3 is not that big of a deal, but like, I don't necessarily trust them to keep Wiseman for a good value, even though they should, because like you said, it should be a prove it deal. Look, if he goes and gets an offer sheet somewhere else that's bigger than you want to match, like, you let him walk. It is what it is. There are a lot of like decent, theoretically free agent backup centers. I bet they'll make a push at Andre Drummond.
It's funny you say that because I actually have a list of like free agent centers. I could put it on the screen real quick. And you did mention Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a name that I would monitor. And I know some fans probably don't want to hear that. I think he's a name that the organization is familiar with. And also worth noting, Tom Gores is a huge fan of Andre Drummond. Big fan of Andre Drummond. Like, I love JaVale McGee. That's just me. Just kind of like that vet's presence. But I don't know at 36 years old what he has left in the tank. I
mean, JaVale might play the Taj Gibson role if he was, brought in.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these are like the top names. I mean, I feel like Hartenstein is probably a name that I would keep an eye on. He's had such a big role with the Knicks this year, and he's a good rim protector. You could probably get him on the cheap where you're not like really too worried about overpaying him. And the Knicks are kind of like in cap space hell. And
we'll keep helping him out.
Yeah,
every summer I'm down.
Would Nick Claxton be a name you look at? Because I know he's probably the best center out there. And I know the center position, we think it's Jalen Duren's spot. But, I mean, if he doesn't start locking in defensively, I think you kind of have to entertain like players like a Nick Claxton.
I probably wouldn't this summer look at Claxton. I mean, I think he's going to make too much money to justify, conceivably the backup center spot. But yeah, I mean, like you said, like, I think I would argue that Jalen Duren's defensive growth is more valuable than Cade taking another step.
Yeah.
To this team. Because, I mean, Cade has proven, I mean, we don't have to talk about today, but in general, Cade has proven that, like, he is that guy and he can carry this team. He's been on fire since the All-Star break, since he got back from injury. But I think, the Pistons need an anchor because that allows you. I mean, that's probably partially why Stu has been starting too. And Duren's young as hell. Like, he's got plenty of time, but like him taking that next step defensively is the biggest thing, in my opinion, that the Pistons need to take another step.
I know we mentioned Drummond, and I'm sure you were watching games when Drummond was in his second year.
Yeah.
I think when you look, a lot of Pistons fans, when they look at Duren, and I love Jalen Duren, by the way, they try to come out with these Dwight Howard comps. And I don't even think it's a fair comp.
Sure.
To be honest with you, because like Dwight Howard was blocking the hell out of shots.
Defensively, not a comp.
No. I think from a build standpoint, like, body types, absolutely, I could see where Pistons fans are coming from. But the reason why I mentioned Drummond is, before Drummond had his back, like he had a back injury, I think his like second year in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, he was almost blocking a shot and a half a game. Right. Like he was a legitimate rim protector. I don't know. I feel like Duren's capable of taking the next step because I've seen it on the offensive end this year, like from his rookie year to his sophomore year. I think he's gotten a lot better around the rim. His free throw, like you look at his percentage, has gone way up. It's almost up to 80% since the All-Star break.
He's been a beast.
Dude, he's been awesome. He's been amazing. It's just on the defensive end of the floor, I don't know if he's just going to be a guy where, he can get you your 14 and 12 a night and maybe block a shot a game. I'd like him to be more of a rim protector. And I know it's really early in his career. He's only 20 years old.
Right.
Who's to say he can't take that next step? But usually when guys are in their second year, you start to see a little bit of flashes. I just really haven't seen those flashes probably since his rookie year when he was coming off the bench blocking everything.
I wonder if the ankles have had anything to do with it. Like if he's staying grounded more defensively because of that, because he keeps landing on people and hurting his ankles. Just a thought. I don't know. I mean, that's an issue, but just that could be part of it.
100%. I think, he's had ankle braces on since he's come back on both ankles.
Yep.
Because I was looking up, because I had no idea. Like, he had like 9 NBA injuries and 8 of them were ankles. I was just like, whoa, that's actually kind of alarming.
That's why every time it happens, I'm like, can someone please put ankle braces on him and everybody else on the team?
Literally just rep him in the bubble. But that could be a reason why he's not blocking as many shots. I didn't really consider that. I thought his ankles were, healthy because he was playing.
No, I think he's healthy, but I think it's possibly something that he's like, all right, like I need to stay a little more grounded to protect that. But I don't know. Just something I thought about. But he does need to improve on that end for sure. But I don't think you make any decision based on that lack of growth yet.
Yeah, I think it would be way
you
do way too early.
Keep a Taj Gibson in, a backup center who's a vet who can help him.
100%. Or do you go out and get someone in free agency that you feel that can maybe, replace Wiseman if you want to do that? But it's just something, because I remember when he was a rookie coming off the bench, man, he was just like swatting everything like crazy. And it's just like, I don't know if it's getting used to playing starter center minutes, or to your point, it's just like an ankle thing where maybe the ankles are only like 70%, and he's just being
a little of everything.
Yeah. Like I said, only 20 years old. I mean, I think he leads the lead in 20.20 rebound games at 20 years old. He's got 3 this season. So
he's a absolute beast offensively and on the board. So just that last step of his game.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of potential there. This is something that I did want to bring up, because I know some people, like, I get it, like, you're a fan of the team, but I think sometimes it's the opinions or takes we have, or we got those rose-colored glasses on all day. Like, we can't criticize these guys, or we're a hater, or something like that. I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong opinions, positive and negative, about every player, depending on the day.